here.
Welcome to Smart Gamer Live Town Hall. With me today, I've got Malice and Zeb
Hi.
and
Hey.
PoisonTaco, if I get my
How's it
mouse out of
going?
the screen, and Fox. So, Shavvoc, Fox, one of the two.
No, it's Fox,
One of the two.
not Shavvoc.
Since Zeb is here, it's going to be Fox. He doesn't like Shavvoc.
Oh, there's a cat.
No,
And a cat!
that's a cat.
Special guest.
You know, Malice,
Yeah,
we've seen your black
this cat,
cat. We
yeah.
haven't seen this cat before.
Yeah, this cat is you.
The black cat's in this the scene the whole time. You just can't see it because the black's backed up.
Has he
It's in the
painted the
darkness.
plague symbol on the cat, and he's just wearing the cat as a hat?
Curled up like a.
The cat and the plague.
Yes, there is no Puka today. He is
Oh.
off and about doing Puka things. We will miss him so. Today's topic, although Plague State, no, we're not weighing in on the East and West peace treaties during Abyssal, though maybe on the MMO grind. Who knows? You never know what you'll find there with those
There
guys.
is no peace, only war.
Tell Puka to stop mining ore. You know, that's probably actually what he's doing, but we love him anyway. Today we're talking more about sacrifices. This week is more of the sacrifices that we do outside of game, those of us that have families or real life jobs, other commitments outside of game. What are you doing to sacrifice those? How are you managing the balance between the demands of your community, your guild, and your real life requirements, or in the case of some of our people, streams and other things that you do? And then I threw in there human sacrifice because our terrorist likes to sacrifice off his officers and wanted to kind of beat on officers a little bit more. So human sacrifice is fair game today as well. Wherever you guys take that, just don't get it kicked off Twitch, please. That's all I'm going to say.
I thought
Too much
Twitch likes
graphic
that
imagery.
kind of thing, though.
It's a new PC kind of human sacrifice.
I mean,
PC,
the ladies
haha.
sacrifice themselves here all the time.
So Plague State, I'm assuming that would be Gladius today. Or is that you, Malice?
Not me.
Not you. All right. You guys really need to get that sorted out. That's confusing, you know?
Well, see, I can actually post it. Is it right now? So we're both posting Blake State.
All right. And if Malice is too quiet, just yell at him because everybody else is nice and loud and I can't do a darn thing about it. So that's on you, Malice. Fox, I'm going to start with you today since you're looking all slick there with your no background, which we'll fix one of these days.
There's a green cat in the background right here. Can't see it.
Is that why the green screen's all kind of sketchy?
It's on this side.
Cat in the hat.
So, Fox, talk a little bit about how you kind of manage the responsibilities of being a leader within a gaming community and your real life expectations, whether that's just family or your job or any other wonderful, fun things that you have.
Well, it's constantly changing and evolving as time goes. The biggest contributor being my kids, and the latest is that my son is getting 3. So we're enrolling him in more and more activities post work and on weekends. So as each kind of month goes by, there's one more thing added on to the agenda. So for me, it's every week and every month is a different schedule, is a different setup. So that for me is constantly changing, and as a result, I have to be very dynamic and on my toes, and then be flexible and dynamic to be able to adjust my schedule accordingly. So as far as sacrifices go, it's more just letting my members know that I'm busy. Usually it's in voice chat. I usually keep my phone on me at all times and try to keep up with the, the lingo, what's going on in chat, just so having a pulse of what's going on if I need to jump in. And then just leave it on weekends. So I tell the guys, hey, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on weeknights and weekends is when I can actually be kind of, at this point in time in my life, be available, right? So.
Do you make sacrifices of your real life commitments and whatnot for the responsibilities that you've agreed to within your community? Or is that kind of a nope?
No, no, what I try to do is I try to schedule my personal life and my gaming time in such a way that they don't conflict. So with the schedule of gaming, let's say after 8, 9 o'clock at night, my kids are in bed, most of the chores are done, so I don't really have any kind of issue. I don't have any kind of conflict to resolve. If, let's say, Gildy said, hey, Saturday, let's meet up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm gonna have to turn that down, right? Unless like my wife is taking my kids somewhere, my parents have my son. That's that's the only exception I have. But then it's like impromptu, like, hey guys, I'm available all of a sudden. Let's do something, right? Let's just jump aboard. But other than that, I just try to keep the two separated with 2 different time slots, so that there's no conflicts.
And does that work well for you, or is that rather difficult?
So far, so good. So far, so good. It's working. Obviously, some family activities sometimes go longer, but so far it's working. Knock on wood, right?
Fox is young and can make it work. Some of us are
Yeah.
old and can't make it work anymore.
I just sacrificed sleep. I was up last night till 2:00 in the morning with some new guildies. We're doing some in Arc H. We're on Eggs Island, so we're having a good time. Things are going really well. I was the only healer in the group. They didn't want to log at midnight, so I said, okay, let's go a bit further. And then 2:00 rolls around. Then they start getting tired, like, Leo, let's log. And I'm like, yeah, I got to be up in 4 hours, but I did this for you guys. So this morning, my wife is like, wow, you look like shit. And I'm like, yeah, rough night. But we got a lot of loot and cool coin purses. So there's small sacrifices like that.
Are those sacrifices worth it in the long run for you, as far as family and your community goes? I mean, this is kind of a dumb question, but
It keeps me sane. This is like I give up a lot of hobbies when I had a family, and this is one hobby that I don't want to give up. So for me, I still get my nerd cup filled every week, sometimes daily, but usually every week I get my nerd cup filled. So I get that self-satisfaction that I'm, doing my own hobby, doing my own thing, working with my community. At the same time too, like I have a happy wife and 2 healthy kids. So
you're definitely making a conscious choice as to
Yeah.
what things you're giving up and that sort of thing.
correct. Yeah.
Zeb, I know you kind of have an interesting situation there of family and other responsibilities kind of tugging at you and gaming.
I'm in a different situation from Fox. Instead of having a young family, I have aging family that I take care of. I have 2 sets of parents, and they're each in their 70s and up, and they all need help in something. I feel very conflicted with them having problems and with me giving up time with them, which I may never be able to recover. So at the time being, I have decided to step down from leadership of the guild I was a part of, which was the same guild Fox is a part of. And I feel okay about it. I feel my stress levels are down, and I still am a part of the community. I still do my community bit, but it's not as much pressure on me directly, which is important.
Do you still find yourself being pressed by the community for things that deal with leadership within them? Are they still coming to you with questions since you've been there for so long and are kind
people individually come with me to questions or to give my perspective on something, but I don't share my perspective because that would be disrespectful to the leadership.
So even if they come to you, you don't share them. You just be like,
No. I don't share
You're
my
on your own?
perspective publicly.
Oh,
That's
fair
what
enough.
I was like.
Yeah.
Malice, do your cats let you out much?
I have sacrificed everything for gaming. I have no life, no family, no job. No.
You own 2
Is the
cats.
litter box
eh?
clean though? As long as
you
the
at
litter
least
box
have
is clean, we're
cats.
good, right?
Litter box is clean, yes.
Okay, there we go.
So seriously, though, how's your balance of real life and game? Being a leader of big community.
I would say that I have, in recent years, I've gotten the ability to kind of put a lot of things on the back burner with the guild. Like I can kind of let it self-automate a lot. But previously, I would say that a lot of just general time. Because you run into that situation where I'd be like, oh, I'm going to take 2 days off and not log in. I log in. Hey, there was a fight. These 2 people argued, and like 3/4 of the guild is like talking about quitting. Like, what? It just took 2 days off.
Like, why isn't Gladius doing his job?
Yeah. So those are the types of situations where I feel very compelled to at least in some way arbitrarily log in once a day, whether it be in Discord or actually in the game or at least over my phone or something, to just be like, I'm here and watching you. Don't run away. Pretty much. Because it's just the weirdest stuff that happens the day you decide not to log in. And just like, I have seen some of the most crazy detonations ever just by me not being around. Like, the thing is, it's like, it's not like that would have gone off while I was, or even if I was there, like, I wouldn't have done anything about it. They were arguing about some petty crap. Let them hash out their stuff. But since I wasn't there, all of a sudden it became like super drama. So yeah, at its core, it's time. It's all, I mean, it's, if you have family, if you have all those things, you're balancing time. And the thing that, as a community leader or a guild leader, is that's your currency, is time. And if you don't manage your time well or have the time to put into it, so one of the crimes you run into with a lot of guild leaders is I think they can get into being a guild leader and not put in the time. And if you don't have that time to put in, don't do it. You know, I mean, you could be officer, let someone else run the show, someone who's got the time to do it. But if you don't have the time, you know, you've got to freaking acquiesce to people who do.
Taco, what about your commitments that keep a busy terrorist going?
Our philosophy at Part-Time Heroes is kicking ass in less than 20 hours a week. I have it built into the structure where most, if not all, leadership positions have a backup, because it's not expected for everybody to be online all the time, but yet still things need to be done. Over the last 18 months of having Part-Time Heroes back together, I have mainly kind of had my fingers in everything, and I've been kind of the main decision maker on everything. But we're quickly approaching the point where that would be wholly irresponsible. So right now I'm kind of trying to set things up so that I don't need to have a complete total presence everywhere all the time. Because if I did say I do want to take like 2 weeks off and say I want to go on vacation somewhere, like I could do that and know that things won't completely fall apart. Kind of like what Malice is saying, take 2 days off and oh my god, everything's on fire. Part of that is finding people that you can trust to help run things. The other part of that is having a good philosophy, a good culture. For one, I always tell my officers, and I try to keep this true to myself as well, is as a guild leader, as an officer, your free time is precious. If there is someone, say if you have a bad apple and you and your officers have to have a meeting about this person every freaking week because they're causing trouble, cut them loose. It's your free time. Why are you letting one person take up so much of your time? This is supposed to be your leisure activity, and you have to know how much is too much, but you also need to kind of working off of what Malice was saying, you gotta, if you're a guild leader, you need to put in the time, but you also need to recognize how much time is too much time, because when
time is inefficient, when you start being inefficient with your time.
Yeah.
And also when it's just taking up too much of your time, like you need to set aside time for yourself as well. And if you're dishing it out for others all the time and you're not looking after yourself, sure, you may be able to deal with it for a little bit, but eventually it will catch up to you, and it can make you cranky, it can make you irritable, and you got to look out for you.
Luckily, I already started in that position, so like I'm just cranky and irritable right out the gate.
So, do you guys find that if you spend more time micromanaging, more time working on leadership things within your guild versus if you're more hands-off, how do you think that affects the overall guild and whatnot, does that require more of your time for it to be more successful? I guess is another way of asking it.
It depends on what you're looking to get out of your guild. Like right now, I would say that I have taken a very hands-off approach in our AAU foray, and I've kind of let the cliques run their own focus groups to get stuff done, and they've been doing a really good job. Fortunately, it also means that it leaves some of the people who are not part of the cliques a little behind, and therefore we're going to have to start looking at organizing stuff more on my end to get that done. But it is what it is. I've had definitely times where I've put my all into like hyper organizing, hyper everything like that, and it works well, and your guild grows, and you can do great things. But like in our current situation in AAU and stuff like that, I'm not particularly looking to grow in that scope. I'm looking to kind of maintain and wait for a better game for us to move to. Waiting for the Camelot Unchains and the whatnot for the world. So I mean, we're kind of just maintaining and waiting and hoping and begging.
Yeah.
I mean, on the plus side, you don't even have to put that much money into Arcade. So I mean, it's not like it's a huge investment.
Yeah.
Oh, well, time investment. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't for the time investment, what the hell else would we be doing? Twiddling our thumbs, going, "Hey, when is Camelot gonna come out? Mark Jacobs said we'd have it this year."
To the forums.
To the forums. Yeah.
That would mean somebody was on the forums. Guys, don't get crazy.
Yeah, this is exactly why I go and I play Arcade, because you don't want me forum worrying, because I will literally just be blowing up their forums 24/7, and it'll be kicked off in about 3 days. No, I get kicked off in about 3 days.
Hey, back in June 2016, you guys said
it's been
and I quote,
I believe it's been 2 months now, almost 2 months, and on the Star Citizen Spectrum, they still have not noticed Blackface Trudeau. I've changed my profile picture to Blackface Trudeau.
Ladies and gentlemen, PoisonTaco, the terrorist.
He's on a different side of Canada than I am. We're completely different Canadians. He's West Coast, I'm East Coast.
You're more the French Canadian?
Best Coast.
Sure. Is the East Coast.
No, Best Coast.
So Foxovic,
Gentlemen, please put the maple syrup down.
Foxovic, how do you feel the time commitment ratio that you put into your guild affects the guild success? Is there a ratio that you can pinpoint?
There's no ratio. There's really it's your influx of new people have to be acclimated to the culture that you're creating inside the guild. So if you devote more time up front, then that means that the rest of it will work itself out more or less. The personalities will mesh, or they won't. But if you spend the time up front with your new recruits, I think that's the best time to put the investment into.
Yeah, and I mean, for me,
Josh, you.
Because I have a desk job at work, I usually am on Discord at work. Like, I'm not checking it all the time, right? But like, when I'm on a meeting or an on hold or whatever, I do pop in and, oh, what's going on, right? So I am able to kind of like, not micromanage, but kind of pop in like once an hour, whatever, just kind of catch up on the actual conversation. Maybe start some conversations, start some topics to kind of keep, for the forums, if the channels are getting pretty quiet, I would maybe kind of go in there, mix things up a little bit, start, a controversial topic, or like, what'd you guys do? Or what are you doing? Or like, what about this game? So to kind of try to stimulate it. But it's in the polar opposite. When I'm actually at home, I can't do that. So usually I'm like the kind of opposite. I won't call myself a guild leader. I'm an officer, but I'm more active during the daytime when people aren't playing, and then less active when, like a lot of people log on at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm not there. I can't even check my phone sometimes, right? So it's I'm kind of role reversal. So I rely on the other officers that are available in the afternoon and the evening to actually take over that part until I can get on at like 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Internet is glitchy today.
Personally violate a lot of laws by when I'm doing my Discord on my phone because I drive for a living. So yeah, I'm a pro. Look, it's hands free. It sits over there.
Just get a bigger screen in your car. You don't have to
Just get the
focus. So
car- Exactly. The old man
Old
squint.
man eyes. What the fuck that guy just say to me?
so
Hold on, I'll beep at you later. I gotta yell at this person on my phone.
are there games that you guys have played that have required a lot more time and work on your part for your communities versus other games, and why?
Yes. I would say Battlefield, running, or any game that where you have a large server to run as opposed to an MMO is far more time consuming and far more demanding.
Just because
Well, if you want to keep your server popular, you need to make sure it's populated every day, every night, and especially once you get started, like you have to put your ass in an empty server with you and the rest of your group, and have that going. And if you don't, it will die because your random pubbies, they're not going to go to a server that's 0 to 64 and do it for you. You have to be the one to do it. Running a server is so much more time consuming and, in my opinion, a bit more stressful. And I do remember back in Battlefield 4, we had it set up so that the server would start off at 64 slots and it would be on team deathmatch. So when you don't have a lot of people, it's in a smaller map and it's fun, right? Once you kind of crossed over into 12 people into the server, it would then switch over to 32-player conquest, and then it would switch over to on the next map. So then it expands the number of slots in the server. And then once you got over about like 26, 28, it would then switch over into conquest large. So it'd go into a full 64 slot server. So when we had that set up, we had a number of nights where the server would be populated 24/7, because once you get once you get the drop off overnight, you get the 3 a.m. crew. If there's not a lot of people in the server, it will just simply shrink back down to conquest, 32-player conquest. And then that's still fun, right? You're not playing 20 people in a 64-player map where you can't find anybody. You're 20 people in a 32-player map, and you can still do that and have fun. And usually that would be enough to kind of carry it over. But to get like a high-ranking server, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then you're paying for it. You're basically paying $90 a month to do work.
Yeah. I'd find that'd be even more stressful if you had to, like, in the back of your mind that you knew you're paying $90 or anything over, let's say, 30, 40, $50 a month, then you kind of feel more like required to be more a part of it. Yeah, more committed. Like, oh, I'm paying money for this.
It's use it or lose it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, let's say with like CU, it's like there's no monthly payment right now. So it's like, oh, I haven't played in a month. Oh well, like I pop in for an hour and once every 2 months, like, okay, this is the new stuff. I don't feel bad, right? But if I was paying $90 a month, I'd be like, I need to do this, right? Like, I'm financially, if I put that $90 into, let's say, my car payment, I could be driving a much better car than that I get to, enjoy the pleasure of every single day, or I can have 2 coffees a day now for every single day of the week, right? So for me, a lot more.
Damn, $45 coffee. Damn,
that's a fucking spice.
Mountain Jamaican.
What other games have been massive time sinks? Gladius says that Arcade is a massive time sink in the leadership side of things.
I remember that Galaxies was a massive time sink. Organizing everybody, because the communication tools were not there like they are today. And organizing everybody and getting everybody on the same page took massive amounts of writing back and forth and messaging in game and out of game. Yeah. So
Yeah, I would say any game that is more sandbox orientated is going to require, by its definition, more organization because there's so many more moving parts that need to be planned. Where your
Yeah.
houses are going to go, what your defense plans are going to
Yeah.
be, what your attack plans are going to be, how you're going to level up, how you're going to gear up, how you're going to do all these other things. You can't really leave people behind all that much. You got to make sure that everybody's on their game and moving forward. Otherwise, they're not worth anything to you or to themselves. So,
I
So
would say it's pretty much like only for me, like MMORPGs that would require like a huge time sink and sacrifices and planning. If you're just playing with your friends like Overwatch or like League of Legends or whatever, it's like, oh, are you available? Me too. Let's hop on. Okay, we're done. See you in a week. You know, there's
Yeah.
there's,
Right.
there's no other real kind of like, oh, whatever, right? Like, hey, what are you gonna play? You're gonna play this? Okay, I'll play that, and that's about the extent of the conversation. But any MMO is just like, oh, if you see so and so log in, tell them this, or like, oh, hey, you know, we need to have a meeting at 7 o'clock on Sunday. Like, tell everyone you know, like, as you see people come in, and then tell them to tell their friends. So it's like, you know, like, what about the Australian guys? Oh, fuck, who's going to be on at 2 o'clock in the morning to tell them, you know, we have to do this? So it's a lot more time consuming.
The Australian guys can have their own stupid meeting at their own stupid time. Upside down time.
upside down time. I would also say, at its definition, any game that is launching, like brand new game. So, like, if we don't know a lot about X game, we need to be doing all the research we can, and once you're in, doing all the research of what is available before you, because you know it's one of the reasons why I play so many alpha and beta tests. Is I need to have at least a basic framework of a plan of where we're going. You know.
Yep.
So that requires an incredible amount of time in a lot of different pots that probably takes you guys away from maybe what your community is actively playing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I probably have since I've been running Plague, probably been in about at least 24 MMO beta alpha tests. Like, and I'm talking like significant, like put months into those tests.
So you've been putting 6 years in the CU.
No,
It's
not at all.
possible. It's possible, man.
No, that is definitely a game I've run around in occasionally, and it still hasn't gotten to a state where there's nothing to plan yet. The experience of being there doesn't teach you anything other than, yep, that's a wall. These are classes. That's shooting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that is subject to change every month.
Yeah.
So there's other than does it bug out, there's not a lot to glean from that experience.
And one thing I kind of wish is that developers recognize the amount of work that, you know, game communities and guilds put into. And I wish that they kept a lot of features that made it easier for us, because communities tend to be the lifeblood of their games and what keeps them sustaining over a long period of time. And
yet so few are designed. Exactly.
Yeah.
So many games literally throw the guild in as an afterthought. Like they put together the whole entire game and they're like, we should probably have guilds.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's almost like they have a checklist at the end of like, okay, did we do this? Yeah, this. Oh shit, we didn't do the guild thing. When are we launching? In a week? Okay, put something together. Throw some UI on that. We're good. Yeah. Like,
it's just a glorified grouping method. I mean, look at like even World of Warcraft and games like that are, you know, the world renowned, super unbelievable 15 trillion player World of Warcraft. The first 3 years was just garbage. Freaking here, you're in a group. I mean, it was pretty much what a guild was just an extra chat channel, you know. And only later did they do things like right around when Warhammer came out, actually, is when they decided, oh, hey, leveling guilds and stuff. People seem to like that, so we'll steal that from Warhammer. And
amongst other thefts.
Yeah. So what other titles have been just massive time sinks or emotional sinks that have just drained you guys as officers or leaders?
Well, I think every beta has that problem. Every beta alpha cycle has that problem of, well, how far do I get involved before I get burned out of a game I don't know if we're ready for yet. But I have to test out intensely. That way I know my community's ready. So it's a very kind of give and take situation.
Man, Planetside 2 is one of them. Like, I remember, like, when I was going really hard into Planetside 2, if you're a leader, you're always, like, in commander mode, because, of course, Planetside 2 is, like, the PvP game that does not turn off. So,
Yeah,
like,
right.
you get in, everyone's going, okay, so who's going where? What squads am I going? And you're like, okay, I got Alpha Squad, Bravo Squad, Charlie Squad, let's go. Your squad lead, you're going here, you're going there, you're going there. I mean,
In games like
it's
Planetside 2, there's no autopilot day where you get to
No.
just be like, I'm gonna like be logged in and just shoot some stuff. Nope, that's
Yeah.
not a thing, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online was the same thing in Cyrodiil. It was like, you spend like 6 hours with your crew. You take over, like, let's say, like 6 castles. You're like, yeah, we feel pretty good. We own, like, a good, maybe, like, let's say half the map. Like, we're good. Then you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, we're back down to 4. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like nothing happened. It's just like, shit. Yeah, there's no rest.
Yeah, and things I don't do anymore, but used to be the old school, like whether you were in Dark Age Camelot or other games similar to it, and ESO whatnot, where it's like, alarm clock raids. Let's everybody wake up at 4:00 in the morning and let's retake the map. Things like
Yeah.
that.
No.
Because hey,
No
there
more.
won't be any defenders. We want to control everything, and that'll give us advantage for when prime time rolls around.
Yeah.
Too old to do that anymore.
Yeah, agreed. We used to do that in Eve, like, okay, guys, 6:00 in the morning on Sunday, like, we have word that there's, so and so is going to come into our null sec and try to take over these territories. You're like, well, fuck, like, I didn't want to fucking wake up, but the fucking, like, I was logy, like, okay, fucking, they need me, right? Like, god dang it, right? Then you go in, the fucking intel was bogus. It was fucking Pacific's time. They're coming on at 9. You're
That's
like,
a lot of
whoa,
fuckings.
that's fucking
That's a lot of
great. Like,
fuckings from Fox.
shit.
And now we know why Fox doesn't do a barrel roll anymore.
No, fuck that shit. Cool, man. Fucking throw my hip out. God damn it. Fucking fucking nap time. Fucking
Yeah, but I lose my
bastards.
spleen.
I used to play a game, a browser game called Travian, and
I've played
Travian is basically all about, especially the end game, is people sending fake armies and then large armies all over the map, and you just have little timers. This guy's going to, and for like 2 days ahead of time, this army's marching all the way across the map at you, and you're like, and it's going to be at 4:00 in the morning, and I got to log in, move all my defenders and resources out of my town for like 3 minutes to immediately dump them back because I'll just take the damage, but I don't want to lose the troops or the resources. So like,
Wow.
so you're just, oh god, click. I'm going back to bed.
If designers still make games like this, I don't see who they're marketing it to, because the people who used to do that are giving up, like everybody on the show has just said.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the
yeah.
younger generation that can still do that, right? I mean, it's
Right.
like the kids that are like, in college or whatever that, or like high school that, can work off 4 hours of sleep when we can't, right? And then their schedule allows, like, okay, I'll just be tired from my classes. Who cares, right?
But,
I
but
think
do you
our
really think?
classes? What you go to classes for? That sounds like crazy talk.
like our generation, right? Like those of us who have, jobs, kids, responsibilities, we look for, I think, all that type of games. If a game comes out that requires that, like if Arcade somehow had a mechanic, like, okay, like at, random times, you're going to have to, come in and you're only going to get 4 hours of, warning, or something's going to happen. Be like, well, fuck this. I don't have time to play this, right? Like it's, I'll find something else, right? The market's flooded with really good games, lots of AAA titles that we can jump into. More and more keep coming out. So there's so much out there that if somebody tries that shit with our older generation, it's like, it's not going to work. Like, sorry, man.
Well,
Like,
I don't know that
I
it's
will
going
say
to
that-
work very well with the new generation either, because you have a lot of people that are just like, no, I want this to happen now. I want to do this now.
Yeah.
They're not gonna. They don't want to wait until 3 a.m. to do this kind of shit
But-
and wake up. That's too much
that's why
effort.
that's why there's no like real big popular game that does both, where it's targeted towards the older generation, but then has those kind of like inadequate or like crazy, reactions that they want from us, right? Like the younger generations playing Fortnite and like Minecraft and all that stuff because it's fun. It get to get their extra kick, right? The older generation, are going to the more mature games. So
It's then there's of course the extremes, like you look at Arcade, which really screwed the pooch the other direction. Like I like, they're like the concept and idea to say, okay, there's this block of time that people can't attack, like go to frick to sleep, right? But when you have a game like Arcade where it's like, oh, castles, yeah, your castle can be sieged within a 2-hour window once a month on a Sunday. If you're not awake and available on Sundays, if you have a job on Sundays, you're screwed. Sorry, you're no longer allowed to participate in that aspect of the game. Like that's I don't like that type of limiting. But like if they said, okay, there's a 6-hour window or whatever like that from midnight to 6 a.m. even, where they said that people couldn't mess with the castles or something, or 2 o'clock in the morning till 8 in the morning. That'd be great. Yeah.
And hopefully CU exactly comes out with something similar to that, because it's going to be like, let's say with that peacetime that you were mentioning, Malice, about like, peacetime and wartime. I remember some of my guildies were like, hey, we have our, main storyline quest involves us going to this, zone that's in war. Like, oh, let's not go there. I don't want to do PvP, right? Let's just wait for peacetime. And I'm like, but guys, you're going into Camelot Unchained, where there's not going to be any peacetime that we know of.
Right.
It's going to be all out war. So, like, are you gonna hide in our tier 1, zone forever? Like, you're gonna PvP
to be
is a
fair,
part of
I
life.
think the map intentionally is going to be much more open in CU. So the idea is that, like in Arcade, it's a lane. When you look at a map design, the map design is a lane. You can see pretty much everybody doing everything, and you know where they're going to be, so you can attack them. Whereas if you're in Camelot Unchained, you can go out and probably be generally unmolested, and then maybe someone might stumble upon you. But
But CU, we're gonna run the issue of those. At 3 a.m., the Brazilian guilds are gonna get on and just completely lay waste to the frontier. I mean, we're gonna have the same problem then. How do you fix that? How do you deal with that?
Right. Well, that's the other problem you run into with oceanic guilds and all the other stuff. And Arcade is the same way. It's like there are people that are just on at all different hours, and it's all because of where they live in the world.
Well, I mean, interesting perspective, and I got this from one of the Star Citizen guys last year, and it was in regards to, persistent assets and people coming in wrecking your stuff at 3 a.m. And he was like, that's all things they need to consider too, but here's another aspect. If you're an English-speaking guild, you can basically pull people from all corners of the planet. You got North America, you got Europe and Australia, mainly where you get English speakers. But what if you're a German guild? The vast majority of people who speak German live in one time zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know about the Frenchies, like maybe the French Canadians and maybe the French get along somehow. I don't know.
They don't. They don't
at all.
But like if you're in any of these other countries, like if you're in Italy, I guess if you're in Spain, you could play with like the Mexicans or something. I don't know.
No,
but
a lot of European countries, though, pretty much speak some level of English. But then, even Brazilians and stuff, a lot of them speak English too. So
French is also spoken in 1/4 of the world, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
But I mean, point being is
shots fired. Shots fired.
Point being is,
I shouldn't put you two together anymore.
If you have an English-speaking guild, you have all corners of the planet, basically all time zones covered. But if you're a German guild, like you're kind of shit out of luck sometimes, because
so that's why you play on a European server
or shit out of Schneiser.
But I mean, I would disagree because like we've tried like in Eve to have like people in many different time zones, but at the same time, then it's like okay, let's pick on the Aussies, right? They're the complete opposite time zone. Then it's like, okay, let's recruit some Aussie guys, but then then they come in, they're like, well, who else is in my time zone? Okay, well, only these few people. These guys don't speak English that well. They're not going to go on comms. So then it's all of a sudden, then you have to then recruit a lot more to try to actually have somebody else for those guys to play with. So then all of a sudden, it's like if you start doing that, like okay, if we have a 50-man guild, am I going to have to recruit like 5 or 10 Aussies so they can all play with each other? That they have the potential to play with each other to be able to keep them satisfied. Are they going to say, "Fuck you guys"? We're going to go to an oceanic guild that I know there's going to be 50 people online. So
I've
to try
told
to cover
people
that, it's so hard.
I've told people like in leading up to Arcade Unchained, I've had some people like in the Philippines and whatever want to apply for our guild, and I'm like, look, I don't have anybody in that time zone.
Yeah.
Like if you join my guild, I am doing you a disservice.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I can't do anything for you. Like I can't plan meetings for your time zone. I can't do events for your time zone because we're all in North America. I mean, yeah, the Philippines, that's one time zone you guys got to worry about. But I mean, if you're in North America, you got 4 time zones. Heck, we got a couple people in New Brunswick and if New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, that adds another one if you get them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got one of those too.
Yeah, so it's difficult. I mean, we have a couple of Europeans in ours, and for us, it's like sometimes their sleep schedule is fucked anyway, so they're playing at the same time we are. But other times too, you see them like posting stuff in guild chat at like 3:00 in the morning, like like, oh, I'm getting jumped, guys. It's like,
going to bed, dude. Sorry.
I am literally in the mid log out, like.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bud. Well, no, I mean, I find out in the morning when I wake up at 5, like, oh shit, there was something was happening at 2 hours ago. Like I wouldn't have not even been aware of that, so it's difficult.
Right.
And Gladius says they typically get different servers, EU servers, and etc. But obviously they don't pay attention to those. If you look at Arcade, you've got the Brazilian Horde on Win, and some of them have even gone over to other servers.
Brazil is our time zones spread.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think they're central time zone. So
you actually go all the way out to Nova Scotia.
oh yeah, you're right.
The thing with Brazilians is not the time zone, not even the language.
There's a Brazilian of them.
Yes, and
the pun's coming.
Brazilians just don't like losing at all. Like they just do not take losing very well. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Like they can't handle losing in soccer. They can't handle losing in a video game.
Yeah.
Learn to geography. Yes, thank you, Gladius.
But even then, like I have people from all around the world, and some of them just play on the fringe hours that we play. So like probably Shackley's logged out by now, maybe, or is just staying awake just long enough. I see in my Discord right now, I've got East Asia, and then like I lost like Sendango and Warnings to. They decided to go play with an Oceanic server because they were looking for people that were more in their time zone. And I get it, they're still friends and they still come in and they'll join us when we go play CU and stuff. But for this current AAU, it's like. I totally get it. You need a crew, and it's best to have a crew at that time frame.
And you can't take it personally. Like you'd be like, hey, like this is your time that you want to have fun and enjoy the game, right? Yep. So I'm not gonna feel butthurt because I want you to play solo all the time because I need your time. Like no, like you play yourself to satisfy yourself, man. Like it's your free time.
Hey, Sendango, you're a traitor. Anyway, so
Traitor.
Love you, man.
So do you guys find that it's harder / requires more time to manage all the people within your communities outside of having... So if we look at the game period we're in right now, a lot of people will say we're kind of in the wasteland of games. There's really nothing to play. Yes, we're all playing Arcade Unchained because there's really nothing better to play out there except for PoisonTaco, who does a lot of Star Citizen because he wants to believe that game will actually
Well, no, it's
Just
because
suffering.
I'm a masochist and I like returning to the
Just suffering.
fights
Yeah.
every Saturday.
But
Yeah.
given that games kind of inherently create that opportunity for people to want to stay up, to want to get together, to want to do stuff because you have a place to do those things in, does it require more of your time outside of having an active, okay, we're going to go play CU? Or back in the days, hey, we played WoW, we're going to go do this. Or back when Arcade was, first out, this is what we're all doing. Is it more difficult? Is it a lot more time, less time?
Well, I would say with the international community concept in particular, like especially in my guild, like you're always, and then I have like housewives and other people like that are just this like kind of wide breadth of time. If I'm not at least looking at Discord constantly, even while I'm at work, like I don't have that connection to half my guild.
Yeah.
So it does take more time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like for instance, if like the IT department of my work were able to like just turn off Discord again, because it was for a long time. Discord was banned, right? And I was kind of just a blackout. Like I would just try to catch up at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock when I got in front of my computer. But now, like if that were to happen again, like I would drop off the face of the earth, right? Like I'd have to pass on the reins. So because I need to be able to log in and just keep the conversation. Plus, I like talking to the guys too, right? Just the random banter and the gossip if there's any, right? It's fun. If that gets taken away, it's fuck. Tabernacle.
Yep, you're completely right. Though it's all about that the spreading of your time on making sure you're seen. You don't even need to be that active in any way, shape, or form. You just need to be seen. Enough people to know that you care enough about them that you are putting in that monicum of effort to be in Discord, to be around. If they have serious questions or anything like that, that they can always reach out to you and be like, my shit's on fire. Help.
Yeah.
And I go, you should go with a doctor for that and get a shot.
Does anything get easier?
Victory. Fox was embarrassed.
I find things do get easier if you get the right people in the community. Now, not necessarily even an officer like guild leader position or whatever. Like if you just have people that have the same willingness and the same passion as you have, that will make like, hey guys, I want to play with you. It doesn't matter what game it is. Just find a time. I'll try to make it work, and I'll try to join you guys. I mean, that is such a huge reward because you don't have to fight with those people. They're not like the gardener and the rose kind of relationship where you have to constantly be entertaining them and like, oh, you're not having fun. Okay, it's my fault, right? But if they want to put in to meet you halfway and they're willing to further try to engage you and try to kind of help with their passion, then it fucking makes the community that much better, right? So you're not a commando going in by yourself trying to make 20 people happy, right? If you have a bunch of guys who are like, hey, we're all gonna go play CU now. Hey, we're all gonna go play Warframe now. Hey, we're all gonna play Arcade because we're playing it together. Fucking makes things so much easier. So much easier. You can kind of hit that autopilot mode and be like, okay, hey, everyone's playing now. Everyone's happy. There's some grief here and there, but it's always going to be there, regardless of the game. So it fucking makes things so much easier.
Well, it's
Language, sorry.
I'll give you a little bit of example that's outside of MMOs. Yes, this is a super nerd topic.
There's a microphone there?
Holy shit.
I was like, it's right there. Oh, it's right there.
Hey guys, there's women.
No, I was. What?
Hey guys, I think we need some better. Hey guys, I think we need some better representation here.
But no, I used to do live action role play for about 10 years. And I'm not talking the like buffer throw out fireballs or anything crazy like that. It was actually a political
missile.
It was a political live action role play organization that was world spanning, 109 games across the world.
Oh, wow.
It was really cool and intense. But so you go to a game and you have it's like a guild in the sense that I actually did storytelling for a while there for about a year. And the thing that you experience is that you have players who have initiative and drive. You have the mid-range people who are self-sustaining. They will entertain themselves. They will find something to entertain themselves. And then you have this whole entire crew of people who are the wallflowers that you're literally trying to pry off the wall to go get involved in something. And it's like, so as a storyteller, you're like trying to create things for them to do. The problem is it's a difficult balance, because when you create content, the most excitable people who are the most motivated run off and conquer the content, and the wallflowers just watch, and you're trying to engage everybody. And it's the same reflection happens on a guild where you have the wallflowers who, they expect you to help them out. But at the end of the day, they want to be personally invited to go do whatever.
Gotta hold their hand.
Right. And you're like, well, I said, let's go do this dungeon, X up. You didn't X up. And so all the motivated people got involved. It's like, so it's like, you have to literally be like, listen, you're either going to leave on your own, or you're going to be comfortable being a wallflower. And I'm not going to be overly concerned about you, because that you're just consuming extra time to consume extra time,
Do you find those people are a burden on your society that you're running?
I mean, sometimes they could be very friendly and nice people, and they can really be positive resources socially to your community, but they're just not the motivated gamer you want. So there's a balance. You don't want too many of them, but if there's not a problem having a couple around, just to as long as they're not being negative to the community. As long as they're not dragging anything down, fuck it. And if they're comfortable, if they're having fun, then who am I to tell them that they can't play the game how they want to? It's their $15 a month,
And if they keep coming back, I mean, maybe then that's what their involvement is, like status quo, and they're happy with that, right? They're like, okay, you're just a warm body, you're having fun, you're coming back, so keep doing what you're doing, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's sometimes I'll reach out. Hey, everything all right? You cool? Oh no, great. We're farming. Okay, no one's talked to you in 2 weeks.
So here's an interesting question for you. Would you be more likely to kick somebody from the guild if you got to the point where you had to? Would you be more likely to kick someone that was a wallflower, or someone that was actively engaged in doing stuff?
A wallflower. I would kick a wallflower before I'd kick. Well, so I'll retract that statement. It depends on their personality. If they are a go-getter but are a real asshole. See, I tried to do this once where I was like, he's a real go-getter. He's an asshole, but he's, we can get along with him, but he's really driving content. He's really driving all this other stuff. I mean, he's really an asshole, but he's really pushing things.
Tough. Yeah.
And he was actually dating one of our healers. Well, they broke up. That healer left our guild, and she was probably a more constructive wallflower than he was a useful driving force. And eventually, people like that, you would end up turning on you anyway. So it's better. Malice can't himself.
But he can try, damn it.
But yeah, no, that was the thing is the lesson learned was the guy with the driving motivation was who I should have booted, not let the healer slink off, Yeah.
What about the rest of you guys? Are you more prone to, if you have a wallflower and somebody who's really engaged within the guild content, and you both get to the point where they should be kicked, are you more likely to kick one over the other, or does it matter?
Toxicity matters in that regard. If let's say that the wallflower is causing a toxicity problem with the rest of your guild, then that's the person you need to get rid of. If it's both, then it's both. But basically, one person cannot be responsible for the majority of your people not enjoying themselves, and you always have to look out for the majority in your guild and their well-being.
Well, I try really hard to be the most toxic person in my guild, so it
They
kind
can't
of
kick you.
keeps
They
things
can't kick
right.
you, though, man.
Yeah.
So
You do a very good job at that, Malice.
if you somehow exceed me, I'll kick you. Because I'm like the limit. I'm self-governed, like really.
Malice just doesn't want to be outclassed.
Exactly. I got an ego, man.
So the other part of our lovely topic was human sacrifice, and I know this was something that was going to be incredibly close to PoisonTaco's heart, given that he's the terrorist. So anything about human sacrifice you wanna start with there?
Well, if you want to be on my ship, or if you want to be on my capital ship, you're required to have a red shirt as part of your uniform. And if you don't survive the mission, then I don't have to pay you. So if we go through with no
True words were
survivors,
never said.
Yeah.
if we go through with no survivors, then I get all the money.
Yeah, stand in front of me.
Yeah.
It's the safest place, I swear.
Yeah. I'll lead from the back this time.
You only
Get
get
him,
one
charge!
firstborn.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a guy that lives in Japan. He's English, but he lives in Japan. And I'm like, hey, you can form a Banzai squadron. We can get a bunch of Japanese people recruited in. We can teach them how to fly, but not how to land.
So bad on so many levels.
You've said some fucked up shit, but that's the thing of it.
As Gladius said in Arcade, we actually had built a temple in the game that we would kill players on, sometimes guildmates,
Really?
for the Temple of RNG, to try to get better rolls when upgrading gear.
I think that's acceptable. I'd accept that. As long as the gods come to fruition and they give you a wonderful bounty of good rolls, right?
Well, I mean,
Who might argue, right?
And the temple was Glad's house? Is that what I'm seeing from Jenny?
It was out.
well,
Yeah, he had built
back in my Warhammer days, I played as a black guard, and the dark elves are all about sacrificing. So
Okay.
I mean, you just send in your guild members. It's like, great, more blood for the blood god.
They don't worship corn then.
They worship
Yeah, well,
something much worse.
They worship Malice.
Malice wrote it into the thing.
Oh God.
As a weird random non sequitur, when I was playing Warhammer, we actually had a dark elf guild that was called Archons of Malice. So I would follow them around and I would go, "Worship me! I mean, you're my Archons, right?" Bow before me. I was gonna roleplay at them. They get all real mad because they were a roleplay guild. They'd be like, "That's not what we meant."
You're a fake deity.
Yep.
If it's any consolation to my guild members, is I'm just as tenacious. So I'm usually I'll be there to die first, just like the rest of my guild.
Oh yeah, I lead the charge. I tend to be the initiator. So, surprise, I die first.
Yeah, you're usually the
Please everybody
sacrificial
kill
lamb.
everybody. Please kill everybody.
And it's shitty, like as when you're like the fleet commander or like the leader of that particular group of skirmish, and you die first, you're like, well, fuck, I can't really see the battlefield now to really direct my guys. So I probably made a shitty mistake. So that was always something I struggled with. At least with Arcade, you can zoom out a lot and still see the battlefield. But in some games, where like let's say the respawn window where you couldn't move, and you're like, fuck, you died. You're like, I have no idea what the fuck's going on, right? Like, hey, so and so, you need to heal so and so. Oh, you're not in the same area. Why not? Like, what do you mean? There's two groups. Like, oh my god, like. So that's one thing that sucked about Warhammer.
This is one thing I'm gonna like about Star Citizen is you're gonna have that. If you're the fleet commander, you're gonna get to sit on the bridge of the capital ship. You're gonna have that big sphere where you get to see everybody. and then you
I'm
get
really
to look
excited
out,
about that. I gotta
And then you
point at
get
a
to
sphere and
look
go there, go there, go there.
Yeah.
and then you get to like look out the windows of your bridge, and you're just like, yes.
Yeah.
Where was the defense? Where was the defense? Why do I see lasers shooting at my windshield?
Which wiper's on? I can see now.
Deflector shields on.
I mean, and that's actually one thing why I love playing a healer is because as a commander is because I get to be at the back and actually witness what's going on and be able to direct things as needed. When I play a tank or like DPS, there was a time I played a stamina warden in ESO and I was at the front lines. I had no idea what the fuck's going on in the back, right? Like if the mage guys are doing their AoE things or whatever, and I would kind of lose and then I would die because I'm in the fucking front lines, right? And then I die and I'm like, okay, so what's going on? Like okay, my second point guard, you're on lead, right? So in Arcage and C, I plan to just stick with the healers. I can be at least at the back and be like, okay, they're grouping up to the left, right? So
There's a reason why in Star Citizen I will never be a ground pounder. I will never be part of any Marine team whatsoever. Because all it takes is one headshot, you're dead. And we've been doing some bunker missions together, whereas like we kind of come in with a drop ship, we'll take out all the turrets on the ground, and it's like, away team, go Marines, go take out the AI inside. I'll sit in the drop ship and sip my coffee while you guys go and do all the dangerous stuff.
There's spheres to watch.
Sending people to die.
That's the nice part about fantasy games, though, is most of them you can, when you are an individual player, you die, and you can just kind of like, it almost is better to give commands from now, because now you can be like,
you can focus. Yeah, you
right,
can
no
focus
one's attacking me. What's going on? Okay, hey guys, you got a guy that broke off over there. He's a healer. Take him down.
And PlanetSide 2, a common place to be if you're a platoon leader would be in the tail gunner of a Liberator, because you have the opportunity to see the whole battlefield and you get to kind of take pot shots at people. So you get like a nice like overview, and of course you get shot down, but that's not neither here nor there. But
details.
Yeah. But it was a common thing for outfit leaders to do.
And
I live in the enemy's back lines. Yes, you do. Watching those guys behind enemy lines using it literally. And go, well, good, because the tanks are not worth wasting the energy on anyway.
They never are.
That's a part of pug raids, is you just watch like 20 people all pounding into like their super tank, and he's just standing there with two healers, and he's just like, "Yep, I got this." I'm like, guys, attack anybody but that guy. Like anybody.
How about you attack the healers in the back?
You could literally attack each other and be more effective. Like, at least they'd be dead, out of the way. We can move forward.
It's only a matter of time before somebody makes a game where when you die, you can't see squat. And so that ability for you to zoom out and see the battlefield in a PvP setting.
Oh, that would suck.
Don't put it past Mark Jacobs.
And Rising Storm 2, I believe, Hell Let Loose, as well as, what was the other World War II shooter that came out? I forget its name. But if you die normally, you'll have the first person view of your character kind of just like keeling over and dying. But if you get headshot, your screen just goes black and all your sound cuts out.
Oh, damn.
I mean, it makes sense.
Like if you get headshot, like if you get headshot, it's just like lights out, instant.
Yeah.
See, now I wouldn't mind like being kind of camera locked, like looking down at your body or something like that, if they also gave the functionality in like Camelot Unchained where I could be a wizard and cast a spell in the back that would give me like overhead like battle view or something
like a bird's eye view kind of thing.
Yeah,
that'd be really great. Yeah,
and then I could be in the back and be like, all right, go here, do this, there's guys flanking around this way, do this, like.
But then what would happen, right? People would be like, okay, look for the guy in the back going like this, right? And then just attack him. You'll take out their comms. Like, no.
Well, that's what assassins are for,
I mean, you could just be a healer and then stand in the back and do the same thing.
But you're targeted first, too, remember? Like, when you go into a skirmish, they always go for the fucking healer. So you always got to watch your back, right? and like
That's why
little
we
kind
can
of
take a healer.
a bar of a health screen, like, oh shit, I gotta heal these guys. What's going on? Huh?
Here's a good question for you guys. Total opinion question. Best class to lead raids or onslaughts on stuff? Are you a healer? Are you a magic DPS, a melee DPS? Are you a scout? Are you a rogue type? Are you a tank?
Tank.
Why?
Easy survivability. For that very purpose.
Don't you have to
I'm
focus a lot
usually
more on
tank.
mechanics than anything else that's going on?
Not in PvP games usually. You have several combinations that work for you as a tank, and you could just memorize them and get a dedicated healer, and then you could command your squad or your group.
This is why you train backups. That way, if you die, someone can take your spot.
Yeah.
Well,
And
this is
Elder
also
Scrolls,
why
that's what we
you
did.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I mean, in Elder Scrolls, what we did was like the party leader of every single one of the groups in the raids was like second command, and then like if let's say group one, which is let's say I would be in, if I died, then the person in group two, the lead, he would then take over. And then if he dies, group, the leader of three. So you always had like let's say 5 or 6 different leaders, and if they all die, we're wiped at that point, right? Like we've lost. So it does help, but they sometimes have a different strategy. Let's say, or like like, oh shit. We lost 2 leaders. Everyone run. It's like, no, guys, just like 3-to-1 ratio. Like, don't fucking run. Why are you running? Like, now they're killing
Who put him
everyone.
in charge?
Like, what the fuck? It's like, or in Warhammer, be like, okay, let's go take this objective on the other side of the map. It's like, no, guys, no, I respawn. From the skirmish, we respawn here. Don't start running here if everyone's in the middle. Like, now we have to just run that much further. Like, no, like, God.
I would say a lot of it comes down to training. Actually engaging with people outside of combat, being like, okay, so I'm going to push in. You need to do this. This is what needs to happen. So they have, because for whatever reason, and I still haven't figured it out, there are literally 2 to 3 of the most basic concepts to be good at PvP. And 98% of players can't do it, which is assist your main assist / initiator, go after healers, know when to not go after a healer. Like, don't waste, like, overcommit time. If you're like, if 3 of you are beating on a healer and he's just like, heal, that's a tank. That's not a healer. Switch targets. Like,
one challenge we've been working on solving in Star Citizen is having communication between like a flight team, say, and like a multi-cruise ship, and like say your ground team. We've been testing with using Discord and TeamSpeak so far, so we have leaders in TeamSpeak and everybody else in their own separate channels. But coordinating, say, a flight team with, say, a larger ship crew, and being able to call targets together, being able to focus fire. And it's been creating some interesting challenges.
Taco, you guys need to go check out Gilded. They just redid their audio system. Supposedly they've got better audio quality than Discord, but they have ability for you to speak into multiple channels without actually being in there. You can have multiple keybinds to speak to multiple groups, and you can activate multiple keybinds at the same time.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a good piece of news, and that's on my to-test list. So
I've also been hearing some fantastic news out of TeamSpeak 5. It's under NDA, so I can't say anything. And also, like, if you get banned from TeamSpeak, you get banned. Like
your IP address gets banned?
And if you have any servers, banned.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Friendly.
So I'm not messing with that NDA. Well, the big reason is they don't want any of their stuff that they're working on right now to get out to competitors. But I am hearing some really good stuff about TeamSpeak 5.
Well, I mean, I signed up for the beta, so hopefully I get something in. So I'm
and if you get into that beta, just keep in mind, snitches get stitches.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I mean, that's fine.
I will totally download it on a computer not related to anything that has to do with me, and I will tell the world. I mean, no, TeamSpeak, you really want to give me a beta spot?
For those of you that want to, go check out Gilded. Let us know what you think. I know Malice and I are planning on checking it out and seeing how that's going, because originally it was pretty crapolo, but now supposedly it's a lot better, so we'll see. Malice, what do you got on tap for MMO Grind this week?
Good question.
So once again, tune into MMO Grind on Tuesdays. See what Malice pulls out of his hat or other places. Yep. It is always a good conversation.
Also, everybody, Monday, Veterans Day. Just remember, if you're a veteran, lots of veterans game. And if you have any problems or anything, look for some of us, and we're always willing to talk. So with Veterans Day coming up, I know a lot of people run into a lot of problems, so just putting that out there.
And if you have your free Twitch sub, do us a favor and hit that sub button. Otherwise, give us a follow, and also give us a follow on YouTube. We'll see you all next week, same time, same place.
If you don't help your veterans, you're a communist.
Wow.
Sounds like a true terrorist. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Peace.